So tonight we're making suppli. Suppli is cheese covered in rice that's then covered in breadcrumbs and deep fried. It's quite a hearty meal, you won't really need much to be full. It's an Italian dish. Okay, so we need to make a bolognese sauce to start off with. Cut some carrots, some celery, and an onion to start off the sauce with. So to start off, we just dice the carrots. It doesn't have to be perfect, just roughly, because you're going to put it into a food processor. Once again, just chop it, roughly chop it, because we are going to throw it into the food processor. Once again, dice the onions, doesn't have to be perfect, just throwing it into a food processor. Yeah, so just cut it roughly. I'm going to pulse it for a little bit until it becomes really fine. Okay, we've now got our mixture into the saucepan. I'm going to add some olive oil, just a couple of teaspoons of oil, and a couple of grams of butter. Doesn't have to be much butter, just a couple of grams. Break it up into small pieces so it melts faster. Put that on the stove. So we turn it onto the stove onto high to start off with. Let the butter start melting. Start stirring it around. Once the butter starts melting, we add the garlic. We add some garlic, chili, mixed spices. Adding the butter to it also makes it give it different texture as well, flavour as well. And the basic spices as well for any Italian dish is garlic and chili. Okay, as you can see, the butter's finally started melting. It's going to start browning a lot faster now. Okay, so that's basically done now. We add some garlic. You don't have to go easy on the spices, and some chili. I'm going to add the chili first. About half a teaspoon, maybe even a teaspoon.
No,
straight in there. I was as much garlic as we can. White bite in bulk. Start giving that a mix around. Start letting those flavours go through. We're adding some bay leaves now. You can also add it in later as well.
Okay.
Depending on how long you're going to cook the sauce for.
So how long do you normally cook it for?
4-5 hours.
Okay.
Like depending on how early I get up, depending on what time I want to eat as well.
Okay.
That's now done. You've got the spices in there. You've got the garlic, the chili, and the bay leaves. Yeah. We add a little bit of pork mince, and then we add beef mince to it.
Okay, so the ratio is 2/3 beef to 1/3 pork.
Yeah, it's best with mostly beef. As long as the majority is beef,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we just cook this until it starts to go brown. Just give that a bit of a stir. Stirring it so it doesn't stick or burn. Breaking up the mince as you go so that you can have it into smaller pieces. Okay, so that's almost ready now for the tomato sauce. Okay, so we add 2 bottles of tomato.
So for 2 kilos of beef mince and 1 kilo of pork mince to feed a small army, how many bottles would you use?
I would use 4.
So it has to be still fairly liquidy then?
Yeah. Okay, so we've just added the tomatoes now, giving it a stir around so we can judge how much water we add to it. So in one of these bottles, we generally fill up with water, say to about there, a couple inches.
And this is a great way to get those little last bits of tomato out of the bottle as well.
As long as all the mince is covered, you've got enough tomatoes. As you can see, it's quite runny at the moment. Just keep it on high with the lid off. Wait for it to boil, then turn it down onto low, medium low, and let it start cooking.
Yep.
And that will release
the flavours into it.
Yeah, so it's almost at boiling point here. Keep stirring it through this when it's on high, just so it doesn't stick and burn, and then it's stuffed. Then you have to start again. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, so we've got some oregano leaves, rosemary, chili flakes. Mix this around to start off with. And then you let that boil, and then you turn it down to simmer. So here's one I've made earlier. It's just been simmering now for bring it back up to temperature. I'm going to add some arborio rice into it. Doesn't have to be arborio. Roughly 2 cups, depending on how many people you have, how much sauce you have.
Okay.
So we give that a stir. So we've just finished cooking the risotto part of it now, as you can see. There, that's kind of what you're looking for. The rice needs to be almost cooked, not quite, because we are going to deep fry this. As that's cooling, we're getting our cheese ready. So just going to cut it in bites. So as you can see, I've just cut a few slices. They're a couple of centimeters thick. They don't have to be very big pieces, so we just cut that in again.
This is mozzarella, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mozzarella cheese. So just kind of get into little small chunks. About a centimetre by a centimetre, as you can see. Cheese, I've just used a block of mozzarella. It doesn't have to be mozzarella, it can be whatever you want. Okay, so that's the cheese done. I've preheated the oil.
I'm assuming you can heat oil on the stove and do it manually.
On a stove, in a wok would be better. Normally I cook with olive oil, but just any oil that you use to deep fry. So you need to heat the oil to about 190 degrees. Okay, so with the cheese, we grab the mixture, we get a plate out and we put some breadcrumbs on it. With the breadcrumbs, I'm going to add a little bit more flavouring to it. I've got some rosemary here. Yeah, I've got some more chilli flakes here. I'm a big fan of the chilli. Some oregano leaves as well, and some thyme. Okay, so we've just got to mix that in and around to get all those herbs through it. So this is the messy part. You grab a handful of the rice, you push the cheese into the middle, as you can see, the cheese into the middle, and then we start rolling it around. And we just put that in the breadcrumbs, and then we're going to cover the rice with the breadcrumbs. So we're going to do a test run now to see if our oil's hot enough. We're just going to put that into a hot deep fryer, and we're just going to lower it down gently. It doesn't take long, it should only take 30 seconds. So we're just going to have a look at this and see how it's going. And you want it to be golden brown, which it is now. And then as you pull it apart, it is still going to be quite hot. You should be able to see the cheese somewhere in there. There's the cheese there, and it's quite stringy, as you can see.